What comes to mind? What do you think of when I say having or developing a rock star mindset? If you think of a musician or a band or having anything to do with music, I am here to tell you that you don't need to be a musician. You don't even need to want to be a musician in order to implement and benefit from having and strengthening a rock star mindset. I'm going to tell you in this episode what rock star mindset means to me and share some ways for you to incorporate that and implement that, have it available to you in everyday life, as well as some tips and some activities to maybe keep in your toolbox or try as you develop and nurture and really find what your specific version of a rock star mindset is. So off we go. I have my notes here to keep me as much on track as possible. So what rockstar mindset means to me is really just a way of approaching life, because I also never wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to be in the band or up on stage or anything along those lines. That was not ever my dream. But in this, I reference a specific point in my life. Like I say, my 18-year-old heart, 18-year-old me really did want to support musicians. I wanted to help them and I wanted to make life easier. I don't even know if I knew the terminology or really what I wanted back then, but I had this vision in my brain of what it looked like because my dad had a trucking company. And so I, in my brain, put together that I wanted my dad's company to become a transport company for like rock bands and musicians and, that type of thing, for going on tour and having tour buses and all the semi trucks, right, with their gear. And I was going to be the tour manager. That was my version of my rock star dream. So it had nothing to do with being on stage. It had to do with being behind the scenes, being the support. And that really has translated into a different version and a different incarnation of what I do now, because I coach and mentor and help and teach you guys on how to identify and pursue your big, audacious, badass rock star dreams by becoming the person who already has them. So it has played out, not like I envisioned, or the concept that I had in my mind at 18, but it has played out. And so I'm really embodying and tapping into that same energy and that same desire and the vibe, if you will, of that, because that is really what speaks to my heart and how, my personality, my nature, all the things. And in thinking about this concept, I think it may have been sparked or maybe awoken, something along those lines. When I attended my first rock concert, I think of that, actually attending my first rock concert, as a really significant event or activity or point in my life. And I think it's because it's that point where I started developing my tastes, going after and listening to and, dressing and listening to music and having things in my room and things like that that were my taste. I was developing and nurturing and finding the people that also were like-minded and the music that spoke to me. So I actually think of that, attending my first rock concert, as a significant event in my life. And I have shared this kind of as like fun fact information before, but my first rock concert was a Striper concert. And so they are a Christian rock heavy metal band, and that the fact that they were Christian had nothing to do with it. That why I chose to go. I actually was invited by a school friend of mine who's was part of a church group, and her youth pastor had, extra tickets or whatever, however it worked out. So that's how I ended up being there. But it worked out perfectly. It was the perfect place and the perfect time for me to go. And like I said, spark that flame, that fire of authenticity and finding what is mine and what speaks and spoke to my soul as I evolved. And look, and here I am, still really enthused with music, and it's part of my life. And I don't play in a band or in an instrument. I've learned how to play instruments, but I don't actively play them now. So maybe that's something that sparked this in me. So if in that type of situation, I invite you to think back and look at the events in your life. It may seem mundane going to your first rock concert. Like, yes, it's exciting, but for me to think of it as a significant event in my life, I didn't think of it that way then. I developed that in looking back and reflecting, and now I see that as a definite significant event in my life. So I invite you to look back at your timeline and identify possibly some significant events in your life that maybe helped shape your desires, your dreams, your authenticity, anything at all, your passions. And if you would like to share them with me, share them on social media and tag me, at Blue Moon Manifestations. You can also email me the stories, all the things. I love hearing your personal stories. And you can email me at vision at Blue Moon Manifestations, all one long word. So let me get into what the characteristics of a rock star mindset are. This is all, of course, my perspective, my experiences, my thoughts, etc. So this isn't going to go into too much depth on this. This is, again, an overall look, and a lot of these concepts and segments that I talk about will more than likely be a little bit deeper individual podcast episodes down the line. So I also invite your feedback to let me know which ones you would like to know more about, which ones interest you, or that you have feedback on, anything at all, as I go through, the little tidbits that I'm sharing with you today. So what am I going to do? I'm going to list some characteristics that I believe are part of a rock star mindset. So first of all is confidence and self-belief. And this is actually sometimes the hardest to establish and also to maintain. But it is so important to develop and find the things that nurture and that establish this belief in yourself, because you are the one that needs to believe in your dreams. You are the one that needs to take action. And the crux of it, or kind of like the juxtaposition, maybe is a good way to say it. A lot of times we think, or we have this thought pattern, belief, expectation, something along those lines, that if we wait long enough, or if we learn stuff long enough, or if we just hold out long enough, that the confidence we are looking for will somehow bloom within us. But the actual truth is, the confidence shows up. It is the result of taking actions. It is the result of trusting your intuition. It is the result of going after, even little step by little step at a time, which add up to big steps. So the confidence is the result. And then once you develop that confidence, then you can tap into it at any time and use that experience in the future when you are needing, or there's something else that you are looking for or want confidence for. You can start to look back at your life experiences and say, the confidence showed up when I continued to show up. The confidence developed, right? There's a saying that I'm trying to think of as I'm saying this, and it's not coming to me. Something about like confidence not showing up, or being, it comes by you showing up. confidently. If I think about it, I will put it in the show notes or something along those lines. But I saw it recently and I should have, I guess, put it in my notes, but I didn't. So, confidence and self belief is a key characteristic of a rock star mindset. And if you're at a place that you don't feel that, then that's the place to start. Finding the things about you that are unique, starting to really admire them, being kind to yourself, and doing the little things that develop and instill that self confidence where you're not looking for external validation. Another characteristic of a rock star mindset is creativity, exploring new ways of doing things, challenging the norm, challenging the conventional ways of doing things in your unique way, even though, or maybe especially if it's not the way it's always been done, or it's not the way that is, being done now. Looking for that creative way of doing things, sparking new ideas, attracting new people, inspiring people with doing things differently is also a key component. And one of those, again, seemingly simple ideas that I had when I was young is this idea that I am also now living of working from home, working from anywhere, being in school in, my late teens, early 20s. And as I continued on different, you know, educational paths and pursuits, that was one of those things. My mom even commented to me once, when I got the job where I was able to work from home and work out in the field. And she's like, you did always say you wanted to be home working in your pajamas. And, that just seemed like a silly thing maybe back then. And it wasn't norm, but I'm living that now. I am able to, if I choose to be in my pajamas, as long as I don't have to be on screen, or maybe even if I did have to, I could be in my pajamas, but I'm working from home 100% of the time. I am creating and building my business in the way that works for me in the fashion that I see fit. So having some type of creative or maybe not normal idea, really hold on to those, latch onto those, jot them down, and don't dismiss them. Maybe again, look backwards and see what little funny or oddball ideas you may have had earlier on in life. Next is passion and dedication. And I include passion and dedication combined as characteristics of a rock star mindset, because if you're pursuing something that is not your passion, that you are doing out of expectation, obligation, maybe you just think, oh, this is what I should be wanting, that is not going to fuel your soul. And you will know and you can tell the difference when it's something that you want to do and you're passionate about it. You'll do it on any level that you can. You will stick with it, even if there's times where you fall off or you take breaks or you get frustrated. That niggle is a word that I like to use. That niggle is still in the back of your brain. It's something that you can't quite ditch or get rid of, right? It's always kind of there. The embers are maybe smoldering or just kind of staying a little bit less than, going up in flames or being really bright, vivid flames, but it's something there. It needs to be something that you are passionate about. And if you don't know what that is, then that's also a place to start. Finding your passion, finding the things that speak to you, finding the things that you enjoy. Now, those might not necessarily be the calling or the path that you ultimately pursue, but if you on purpose look for things that spark your interest, spark your joy, they will, without question, either reveal or lead you to or give you some insight as to what that passion is. So you don't have to know what the big dream is. It starts with doing things that call to you, that you enjoy, creative things, fun things, not always hustling and grinding. So cultivating and finding what your passion is, and even if it doesn't lead to a job or a career, doing them on whatever level you can, whether that's on a small scale, an intermediate scale, a huge grand scale, finding those things that you love coming back to, that you love to do, that fuel you, that excite you, that you look back on maybe when you used to do them with kind of like, oh, it was so much fun. That was something I loved to do. Look at those things for inspiration. Uh, Next in line on my list of characteristics of a rock star mindset is individuality and authenticity. This is something you will hear me talk about all the time, because leaning into who you are and again, finding that person is in there within you. That person has never left. It may be quieted, maybe it's been a while since you've tapped into that person, but that person has never left you. So who you are and allowing yourself to step into that and show that and show your weird, right? Step into your weird. You've heard that saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. And sharing all the weird, quirky, messy, awkward things about you instead of trying to copy someone else. It's okay to be inspired by other people, but trying to copy them and do things the exact same way that they do or the exact same thing that they're doing will not lead to established or long-term success, because it's not authentically you. You are not providing life experience or things to something that you're passionate about. So it will come across as a little, off, or maybe you feel a little off about it. You don't have that spark. So it might feel safer to copy other people. And it might be like, oh, well, they've already done it this way, so let me do it that way. And I think the way that I work with people is, this is how I've done it. This is what I've experienced. Now let me help you find your way. Find your method, because I found that and continue to find that for myself. So I then want to help you find your way, not do it my way, because my story, my life experiences, my desires, all the things are completely different. So individuality and authenticity, it needs to be genuine and authentic to you, the way that you come across in the world, the person that you show up as well as the dreams and the pursuits, the desires that you pursue. And then lastly, on my list of characteristics is resilience and determination, because it is so important to know and to experience that no matter what the length of time is, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it takes, you will persist. Absolutely, there will be times where you maybe, need to take a pause, or life happens and you need to kind of maybe pivot or go around or something, put things off, on pause for a little bit. Absolutely, there are times in life where that might happen. But the coming back to it, the not giving up on it, the not, don't put it on a shelf and say, oh, well, it's too late. Never giving up on it. Developing this belief and this thought process of, it doesn't matter how long it takes, I'm going to stick with it. And I will be honest with you, that has been one of the biggest lessons that I believe I have had to learn in this process of building and establishing and growing a business. There have been times where it's like, I definitely have those thoughts. Shouldn't I have achieved a certain level of success by now that I'm not at yet? And repeatedly in my journaling and just messages that I get, it's like, I need to put in the time, because I have an extensive history in my past of trying something and not sticking with it, either because I didn't see results quick enough, because it really wasn't my passion. It was just something new, the next thing to try. But I am here 5 years in, sticking with this business, trying new things. There is something, I think it was a quote I heard on a podcast recently of, it doesn't matter what it takes. I'm going to try all the things. I'm going to try as many things as I need to. I'm going to hang in there as long as I need to see my dream fulfilled at whatever level it gets fulfilled at whatever level I have achieved. I'm going to appreciate the hell out of it. And I am going to try all the things until my desire becomes a reality. So once you find your thing that you are willing to stick with and develop that determination, you will absolutely experience frustrations and setbacks and things, but you keep getting back up. You keep with it. You say, yeah, this sucked, or I really thought I would have been at another level or achieved this by now, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to try something new or try this thing again in a different way. It's just that stick to itiveness, right? I call this a rock star mindset. Think of bands and musicians that you hear their stories that they struggled for so long. Yes, there will always be the instant or seemingly instant successes. And there's stories on every end of the spectrum. But it's a common thing to hear. Oh, we were all packed in one hotel room, or we got, we're down to, we had no place to live. So we were in our car for a while, or all we had was the car and we took off, to the West Coast or to Nashville or to New York or, whatever. It keeps, that dream is there. And regardless at what level or when you decide to pursue it, you go all in. And there are times where the saying, you do what you have to until you do what you can, absolutely applies, but you've never let go of that dream. So in list form, the characteristics of a rockstar mindset are confidence and self-belief, creativity, passion and dedication, individuality and authenticity, and resilience and determination. And so those are the characteristics. Now I'm moving into translating, if you will, or finding ways that make sense of incorporating or developing or applying this rockstar mindset into everyday life, if you will. So for those of us who are non-musicians and rock stars in the musical sense, in training or on the way, what we are becoming is applying that self-confidence that I talked about and self-belief, applying that. That means, like I touched on, finding the actions and the steps and taking them, and then experiencing the confidence that comes from that. Developing a strong sense of self-confidence means practicing your abilities, practicing your skills, training, if you will. None of us, for the most part, are good at everything when we start. There is a learning curve. And a lot of times we feel frustrated at first. I have learned to play instruments. The instruments that I have actually taken lessons on and learned how to play are the violin and the piano. I started on the guitar and then I dislocated my elbow in an accident. So I never went back to the guitar lessons, but I started. I think I got 2 or 3 lessons in, but it sounded, especially on the violin, it sounded awful when I first started, and probably on the piano too. I just personally don't remember that so well, but just pounding on keys maybe came across as noise. That didn't sound like music at all to the people that were around. So developing that confidence comes from the practice, comes from allowing yourself to be awkward, allowing yourself to suck at the beginning and getting better. And then you look back and say, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this. I can actually say that I'm good or I've developed some skills. And that doesn't just apply to music. That applies to speaking your voice, speaking up, speaking up and sharing your opinion, your point of view. It can apply to setting and honoring boundaries. It can apply to absolutely anything that you don't currently, or at the time when you're looking for that confidence, that you don't feel confidence in. It starts with the baby steps. I mentioned this recently in my Lunar Lessons podcast episode about the 1% improvement. And that is a concept where you look to improve by 1% every day or every time. And so you're not comparing yourself to the end result, like the desired result that you see in your brain. You're comparing and measuring yourself against your previous performance, your previous experience, your previous level of mastery or whatever. So that's where that 1% improvement, focusing on that, is how you develop the self-confidence. I guarantee you it is not going to show up simply by saying and waiting for it and wishing for it and learning more in the sense of I'm going to read more or I'm going to do this before I actually try it for real. That's something that I would say. Before I try it for real, I need to learn a little bit more or read or whatever the case is. Just consume more information without actually applying it in the practical sense. It's absolutely important to keep learning, but not to stay stuck or stay in the learning mode. We also need to do the practice and the applying and the doing mode, and they can coexist. But that's where the self-confidence comes from. And you then apply it when you catch yourself like, hey, I actually spoke up last time. And so even though it felt awkward, I can do it again. I'm going to apply that same practice that I did before until it starts to become your normal. And it may never feel fully comfortable, but you won't cringe so much. You'll be like, yes, this is uncomfortable, but I'm okay. And that is confidence, which you might not have thought about before. Like something might not actually ever become fully comfortable or something that is natural to you, depending on what it might be. But you can notice that, this isn't that comfortable or it's not my favorite thing, but I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. I get past it and then it's all good. That's confidence because you know that it will be fine. And you know that you are capable of doing it, even though it's not fun or your favorite thing or even comfortable. Next, embracing that creativity that we talked about. And this is how I think embracing creativity is something that is not frequently thought of or applied to areas outside of music or writing or something that is considered the arts. Because being creative, even if in a way that has nothing to do with your goal or the thing that you're working at. And a good example here is allowing and finding time for yourself to do something fun, like, art class or, I don't know, a dance class may actually help you solve problems at work or come up with a new idea for problems that you're experiencing in life or that, coworkers come. So allowing yourself time to be creative, even if you say, but my job isn't a creative job. I need to learn more. I need to think. I need to analyze. I need to read the science or the math or whatever. There is creativity in that. There is creativity in problem solving. So by participating and doing creative things, it can benefit you in other ways that you may not have connected to creativity. So embrace the creativity to inspire ideas and solutions. And if for nothing else, to give you yourself a downtime, the refresh time, the recharge time, where you're not always problem solving, where you're not always thinking, where you're not always doing. We need both sides of that. So embracing creativity can look completely different than what you might have thought of, and so can how you apply creativity to your job or your career or your business or a problem that your kid has, right? It's being creative, coming up with new ways of doing things. So if you never thought about that, that coming up with solutions is actually a creative process, take a think. Take a think and jot some things down. What does that, wait, that's creative? That's being creative? Absolutely it is. And so hopefully that will inspire you to incorporate more fun and creativity in whatever way that speaks to you in your day-to-day life. Let's see. Embodying individuality and authenticity. This is where whatever your too much is. And I wrote in my notes, whatever your too fucking much is, because a lot of people hide that when people say you're too sensitive, you're too loud. This is something I've heard. You're too loud. Do you need to talk that loud? Well, maybe I don't need to, but I do. Right? So embracing whatever your quirks are, whatever your unique style is, instead of dimming it or hiding it, shine that out into the world. This is how you develop your unique style. Trying all the things, being bold and having the different colored hair if you like, and getting the tattoos or wearing the mixed match clothes that really may not seem like they go well, but who knows? Someone else might really dig it if you allow yourself to wear it, if it's really something that you love. So, whatever your unique is, your too much, the things that make other people uncomfortable, just lean into that 110% or more and just allow that to build and strengthen and become your authentic self, instead of wearing all these different personas. There's sometimes the work persona, the home persona, the friends persona, the persona when you are by yourself and don't have to put on an actual mask, if you will. So really lean into embodying and embracing and sharing your unique self. Let's see. And then, so these were basically just ways of applying the list of characteristics that I was talking about earlier. And the last one is building resilience. It just comes by doing it over and over and sticking with it and getting up and trying again. So it was a little bit repetitive, but hopefully there was a little bit of nugget or a little bit of clarity in there to see how you can apply these concepts in your everyday life, especially if you're someone who says, but I'm not a rock star, I'm not a musician. You can absolutely still embody and embrace and use these characteristics in your everyday life. And I do want to touch a little bit on, not a lot, but also just like I don't want to see the downside, maybe the possible pitfalls of the rock star persona or the rock star ego, if you will. And that's just when you start doing things for the gratification, for the accolades from other people. It is absolutely 100% human nature and okay to appreciate those and enjoy them when you get them. But if that is the driving force, then it's really kind of like that dark, the light and dark, like the unhealthy, let's put it, the unhealthy side of the coin. Yes, it may be a result of following your passion and getting accolades at work and getting promotions and all the things that come with that, or having people cheer you on and talk you up because you were bold and brave enough to actually follow your dream. That's absolutely okay to appreciate that. just be mindful that that's not the driving force, because also you'll burn out in a different way than the hustle and grind. It's just going to get to be where that's all you're looking for, and it's not really authentic, healthy, or genuine anymore. It becomes more about the external validation versus the internal fulfillment and the internal what's the word I'm looking for? The internal pride versus, looking for the accolades from other people. And so there's the importance that the reason that I bring this up is important to balance those. Appreciate all the accolades and the things that you get. Just be mindful, and maybe sometimes you have a best friend or a mentor or someone who you trust to point these things out to you. Just notice when they start saying, like, why, why. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go for your dream. It just means, like, what is your why? What is the reason that you're doing the thing or trying something new? Is it for the shock value, or is it really something you're being called to do, to try in a new way? And also incorporating a support network. Like I said earlier, your vibe attracts your tribe. Find your people and have that camaraderie, the people that you can be honest with and who can be honest with you, so that they support you and also know you and care about you enough to point out when things are maybe looking off, or like, that's kind of out of the ordinary for you. Is this, what's the reason for that? There may be a good one, but finding those people that you can be honest with and who can be honest with you as you work towards and keep achieving your dreams. So let's see here. Just making sure that I'm going down in order. Okay, so yes, I said, so I wanted to point out, so it definitely does not have to be a prestigious, in the sense that you don't have to be in the limelight to apply and benefit from this rock star mindset. You don't have to want to be anything in the public light. You can be a rock star stay-at-home mom. You can be a rock star administrative assistant. You can be a rock star barista. Whatever the case is, it doesn't have to be like big scale, but the more that you develop this within yourself, you will attract amazing opportunities. You will grow and expand and attract dreams and desires that you weren't even aware of, because you're making yourself the center and the rock star of your own life. You're making yourself the priority and the focus. So I'm going to wrap this up with some, what do I have here? I have some tips for maybe getting started with this rockstar mindset, amplifying it, if you will, or maybe strengthening it. And so, first of all, is setting some big, badass, bold goals, ones that feel really far and out of reach, but that also excite the hell out of you. I was at a mastermind, like co-working day at my friend's office, and I don't remember exactly what the conversation was, because there was a group of them that were talking about, like their own project that they were working on together that I am not a part of. And someone said something about being sponsored by, or something along the lines of Nike. And one of the people was like, "Oh, wow, that's really dreaming big." And it's like, yeah, yeah. Is it because I move my cursor? Okay, it's not muted now. So we're going to go, I'm not going to touch anything, and hopefully it will be. Oh my, we have to do a second version of this. I don't know why my mic is not plugged in. Technical difficulties. Technical difficulties. All right, so let's see if that stays. I'm going to keep an eye on it. And everything seems to be good right now. So, setting big, badass goals that feel far and out of reach. Visualizing success, visualizing and feeling into what it looks like and feels like, and your experiences, what your day-to-day life is as you achieve your dreams and what that looks like. Taking calculated risks. And this does not mean careless risks. This means calculated risks. If your intuition is telling you to do something that doesn't make logical sense, but you know it within yourself. And if you don't have that connection and that relationship, if you will, with your intuition, then this is a place to also put some focus on. So taking calculated risks, and that doesn't mean you have to justify or explain them. If you have this knowing and you have this calling and it doesn't make logical sense, then it's only you can say that, yes, this is the calculated risk for me to take, even though it doesn't make sense. Nobody else can say that for you. And if everyone else is saying, oh, it doesn't make sense, but you have a knowing that it does, then you're the one that knows. You're the one that knows it's the right thing for you to do, even if you can't say why and you can't say how it's going to turn out. But you know what that feels like. You know, just if you think back in your life, like, oh, I had this idea, or this was the time to go, or I had this thought, let's go, try reservations for, a restaurant that is always full, but you had this sense. So you know what that's like. Look for those experiences and those occasions in your life that has happened. And also handling criticism and naysayers. Those are the people that say, that's not for you. Who are you to think about, that say that you want that, or that you want that you can achieve that. This is when you also need to decide when is the right time for you to share your dreams and ideas with people. There is something to be said for both. There's something to be said for keeping it close to the vest as you let it really settle in and you get confident and feeling and like this is the thing for you, and nurturing that before you share it. And there's also something to be said for sharing it and having people get excited with you, your tribe, if you will, and support you along the way. Only you can know what and when that is. So handling criticism is really the result of the confidence in yourself that we talked about. Because once you are confident in yourself and in your decisions, other people's opinions, don't affect you. It may not feel good to hear it, but it doesn't affect you in the sense of like, oh, well, maybe I should wait, or maybe this isn't the thing for me. Because once you have that confidence and that knowing, then it doesn't matter what other people say. But learning how to handle that and respond to that, when a lot of times it's just saying nothing. It's like, I don't need to justify it, and it doesn't need to make sense to you, but it does make sense to me. And I'm the one that's going to be doing the things. I shared a post earlier this week. It was Amelia Earhart Day. And the quote that I shared was, I want to do it because I want to do it. That was a quote from Amelia Earhart. And yes, because you want to do it is enough. It's also up to you to go do it. So when you do that, it doesn't matter what other people's opinions or disbelief is. And then developing a strong work ethic. This is also a lesson, if you heard my Lunar Lessons podcast episode, that I have learned and that I I have had to experience is half-ass effort will yield half-ass results. So if you don't take it seriously, it's not going to reap serious results. It has to be something that you pursue and that you take seriously and that you take serious action on. Instead of just kind of like, oh, yeah, maybe, or you have to be accountable to yourself. And then lastly, I put celebrating small victories, sharing your wins, celebrating them, no matter how big or how small, is such a key factor. It's such a key component because it helps keep you excited. When we have these get togethers, like I said, with this mastermind and co-working days that I have with my friends, we always start, what's gone well? What are you celebrating? What's a win? And we start off with that. And a lot of times throughout the day, we'll think of more and we'll share them because it's just like, oh, appreciating and being grateful for and celebrating shows you other wins that you've actually accomplished. And celebrating other people also makes you feel good and makes you want to support them more. And then they support you and cheer you on. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful cycle. And activities that you can do is create a vision board. I will always suggest creating a vision board because you can create a vision board for a specific thing, like your dream. You can create a vision board for you, the type of person you want to be or show up as. You can create a vision board for like travel or goals. So creating a vision board is something I will always recommend because that's how I started my business, is by doing vision board workshops, and I still do them. So if you are looking for one, let me know or check the schedule of events. I have them fairly, I wouldn't say regularly, but I still do incorporate and share vision board workshops and vision board activities because I love them. And I think it's a very important and key component and another way to incorporate creativity in your dreams and your desires. Journaling is another activity. Scripting, you may have heard me talk about this. I did a scripting journaling challenge where I used and shared musical lyrics as the journal prompts to write your scripting. And if you don't know what scripting is, it's basically writing out your dreams that you want to be achieving in the present tense. Like you're writing the script of a movie or a TV show or a play, you're writing it out in the present tense. And if you're interested in whenever you happen to be listening to this, if you're listening to this in the future, in getting my scripting challenge or the information, and even if you're listening to this live or in the time frame, I'm recording this on July 26th of 2023, and you're interested in getting that scripting challenge, I will host live rounds periodically. But if you're interested in getting the materials, message me or email me. Like I said before, vision@bluemoonmanifestations.com, and I'll see about getting that to you. And then study inspirational people in whatever field that you are pursuing, either in a career, starting a business, pursuing, like athletics or something along those lines. Study people that you admire that have done this, that are in the field, and maybe create a vision board of people that inspire you and identify the traits that you like in them that you want to strengthen within yourself. And so, see, there's all sorts of ways. Honestly, there's all sorts of ways to create vision boards and incorporate them. So, and then the last thing I'm going to leave you with is develop a rock star persona. And this is like your alter ego. You may have heard me talk about, depending on how familiar or how long you've been in Blue Moon Manifestations world, about like my avatar, if you will, my persona is like this kick-ass, badass rock chick. That's who I envisioned I wanted to be when I was younger. And so I'm really stepping into that more and more and using that persona to guide me and my actions and how I show up in the world. And one of my favorite things to advise and tell people is have this persona, even if it's it's also the future version of me, right? The future amazing, more amazing person that has already achieved the things that I want to be achieving. Borrow courage from that future you. Borrow the courage that you're looking for to take that scary step. Borrow the courage to say what you want or need to say when it feels scary. That future version of you has courage in spades to spare with you and has already experienced the results. So, absolutely borrow that courage and draw on it. You need 30 seconds of courage to take an action. I don't know if that's scientific. That totally comes from the movie We Bought a Zoo. Like, you need 30 seconds of courage to do the thing or take the step or, get through starting or stepping over that threshold. Again, I don't know if it's scientific, but I really liked that concept. You need 30 seconds. So just borrow that courage from future you. It's accessible and available to you at any time. And that is all that I have. My closing thoughts are really to take the information that I've shared, find the bits and pieces that resonate with you, and start to create your personal version of the rockstar mindset. The things that speak to you, the things that you want to incorporate and try, and what a rockstar mindset means to you. That might not be readily apparent right away, but explore and try and find the things that spark joy. Find the things that you're passionate about. Do the things that you want to be doing and let them inspire you and open the doors to what your dreams and desires truly are, and allow your authentic self to show up more and more. And then you will embody and embrace and develop and just have that, I don't give a damn, I'm doing what I want to do, and actually take the steps and the actions to achieve them. So that is a very, very broad view of what a rockstar mindset is for me. Like I said, if there's aspects of this that you would like me to dive further into or talk about specifically on a future episode, this episode has gone longer than normal, but this is, like I said, very broad scopes. And I would love to, oops, there goes my glasses. I would love to dive into that and share and explore other aspects that you think may be beneficial. So as always, let me know. Thank you for hanging in with me throughout the little bits of tech glitches when my mic kind of cut out, but it looks like we've made it through. And I will see you and talk to you next time. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Take care.